Howdy Guam, Howdy Action Pack members, and our voters tuning in to another episode of the We Want to Know Action Pack Show, hosted by Phil Letty. I'm your executive director for the Action Pack, and very excited to have another special candidate guest this morning. Our guest this morning is Mr. Harvey Egna. Howdy, Harvey.
Day. I'm very happy to be on your show today.
Well, we're happy to have you. And before we jump right in, I do want to remind our new viewers that the Action Pack was formed out of a need to play an active role in government, beginning at the grassroots level. Action Pack comprises members from a cross-section of Guam society, representing all walks of life and united in our belief that we can affect change through action. We welcome you to get to know us better, and we hope to help you get to know our candidates better as we move forward and progress through this election season. So before we get right in, Mr. Harvey, do you have any welcoming remarks to our viewers?
Yeah, I'm very happy to be on your show today. I know we were scheduled for yesterday, and the weather calamity seemed to have sent us both in different directions. But just a minute to introduce myself. I am a Republican candidate for the Senate this year. This is the first time I've become involved in politics in Guam. I am number 15 on the ballot, and I'm looking forward to Saturday when my wife and I will be going to the poll here in Jonia. I'm recently retired. I spent 35 years in the banking and financial services industry. My specialties in that industry were risk management, audit, compliance, electronic payment systems, and particular specialization in process optimization or looking at ways of doing things very efficiently. Again, as I mentioned, I live in Jonia. My wife is a school teacher. I have 3 teenage daughters. So I'm not sure that I really am retired. And a young guy that goes to elementary school. My oldest is about to go off to California to college, so she'll be leaving the nest soon. And again, as I mentioned, I'm very happy to be here on your show this morning and welcome the opportunity to talk about my platform and some things that I'm very excited about doing should I be fortunate enough to get your vote on Saturday.
Awesome. Sounds like a great combination of experience, family, morale, and just everything that you bring to the table to make a great candidate for our viewers and voters to consider as they hit the polls this Saturday. We'll jump right into our interview, sir. If you can, please let our viewers know, what are your 3 platform pillars?
Okay, my 3 platform pillars. First, I want to talk about taxes. I have a master's degree in economic history, and I'll tell you in my studies of economies throughout time, I cannot find a successful economy that existed in a high tax environment. One of the first things I would do upon becoming a senator, privilege of being elected a senator, would be to lower our gross receipts tax, or BPT. 5% is too high. That's taking a big chunk out of the ability of our businesses to grow, to hire, to expand. We need to set that at 4 or 3.75 and come up with a mechanism to look at data, to look at statistics, perhaps every 2 years, and readjust it. Maybe it would need to be tweaked up a little bit. Maybe it needs to be tweaked a little bit down. But 5% is too high, and we don't need to overfund our government. What we're doing right now is we're overfunding Gov Guam, and it's creating a windfall. Gov Guam is not a for-profit business. Gov Guam has been overfunded every month this year, I believe, and that shouldn't be the function of taxation. The taxation should be to provide our government with the ability to protect us, to provide education, and provide basic services. And right now in our inflationary environment, besides prices being high, we're now taxed with 5% on top of those inflationary prices. So the first thing I would do, and the first thing on my list, is to bring that tax rate down. And furthermore, to eliminate taxes on what I would consider to be vital goods, such as food and medicines. Number 2 on my list is to get a handle on our local government. I feel it's too big. We've topped $1 billion budget. $1 billion budget for an island of 150,000 people with a shrinking population is too much. We need to really look at our spending and put the money where we really need it. We really need more money in law enforcement, fighting crime, fighting the drug problem. you don't need to be funding so many deputy director positions in our government and such other things. Okay, so we really need to, when the budget process comes around, I think we've started taking a very critical look at it this year. I see Senators Brown and Teidige really pushing back on some things, and I think we really need to go line by line in our budget and stop saying, hey, does this make sense? Do we really need to spend this here? We don't have to just keep rubber stamping budgets. And we've hit $1 billion. That's no longer a mom and pop grocery store. This is serious business. And again, our businesses and our people shouldn't exist to fund an over-bloated government. Government exists to provide services to the people and businesses. And I think somehow we've gotten it backwards. We need to reverse that. Okay. The third thing is crime. And what particularly irks me is reading in the newspaper several times a week, sex crimes perpetrated against underage girls. I just read one yesterday against a 6-year-old girl. I did see a statistic whereas Guam, among all the states and territories, is the second highest in the United States. I think we need to take a look at our penal code and revise our penalties. Under Governor Calvo's administration, we were deporting people that had come here and chosen, not to behave, not to abide by our laws in these respects, and perhaps double penalties. Look at things like chemical castration, and advertise the heck out of it. If you do this, this is what's going to happen to you. We really need to get a handle on this, because we all have daughters, we all have granddaughters, nieces, friends, cousins, and this is a life changer for a young girl. And frankly, I'm tired about reading about it several times a week. I haven't seen our current administration deport a single person. I know Governor Calvo had perfected, and he had done it several times. And I think we need to return to looking harshly at this type of crime and, getting it under control. I do have a fourth pet peeve, if you'll allow me. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I don't think anybody's raised this issue, but this has to do with civil defense. Okay. And what I see around me, Phil, is everybody's getting ready for a conflict in the Western Pacific. Okay. And I'm not an alarmist. I did spend 20 years in the Coast Guard Reserves. The Army is looking at installing different types of missile systems to protect us in Guam. The Navy's home porting more and more submarines out of our naval base. The Air Force is building a satellite air base in Tinian and considering bringing 5th-generation fighters to Guam. It's clear they're ramping up. Nobody's preparing us, the civilian population of Guam, for a conventional conflict. If something happens, and I sincerely hope that it doesn't, but if something happens and our ports are taken out and our airfields are gone, Matson's not going to come here anymore. APL's not going to come here. There's no more civilian flights coming in. What are we going to do? Who's telling us how much we need to stock in our garages, or whether we need to have a generator, or how we need to prepare to maybe exist for 3 months on our own or longer? I don't see anything coming out of our Homeland Security Department. I think we're all pretty expert at preparing for typhoons, but we know with a typhoon, we're going to get some help within a couple of days. But in a conflict, we're pretty much on our own, and it could be for a while. And I have that in my platform. If you look on Facebook, I have that as an item in my platform. And I think we really do need to prepare for the coming of a conflict, again, hoping that it doesn't come. But, in 1941, Guam wasn't prepared. And we saw what happened. The civilian population wasn't prepared. The military pulled out its dependents and left the civilian population to fend for itself. And that's another issue that really concerns me. So I hope I wasn't, I know I said I was a person of not too many words, but I hope I wasn't too long-winded there.
No, when it comes to topics of serious concern, especially personally for you, sir, I can speak for the island that many of those topics that you raise, or those concerns that you raise, we share them. We share them at the dinner table. We share them at the now at the barbecues, and just the conversations between families, parents, and school and whatnot, from our economy to our crime, and definitely maybe the news is not talking about it. I think the only one that really is speaking anywhere towards being prepared for such an atrocity, God forbid, would be the point with Ray Gibson, and this makes me look back to when I was selling cars at Atkins Kroll. There was this one client who back in 2018 was well ahead of everyone's time, but he has his garage. He turned his garage into a disaster storage just in the event. And I can imagine that when we were locked down and the food shortage, we experienced food shortage for a short time. Him and his family, they were prepared with their stock of canned goods and emergency items and water and gas and toilet tissue. Something as minuscule as toilet tissue, you wouldn't think you would have to fend for it. And during the pandemic, we got a taste of reality of what happens when we are faced with the tough times. So I do appreciate you sneaking in that fourth pillar, because I do believe with all of the ramping up with the military and all of their different sectors, be it Army, Air Force, or Navy. I mean, you're absolutely right. There is a clear sign that there are things going on that we aren't too privy to as far as the true status of how of the emergency level. So I do appreciate that. Now our second question, sir, is what is one main focus item that you believe you can realistically accomplish in one term?
I think we can realistically accomplish. I'll answer this with two related answers. I think we can realistically accomplish getting a handle on our taxes, on our gross receipt taxes, and at the same time bring some sense to the budget process, bringing analysis and data to how we spend our money, bring some common sense and some sense of where does it make sense to spend the money. Should we be spending it on looking at a high-tech recreational park when we can't keep the bathrooms open? Should we be looking at spending it on a high-tech park when crime seems to be the headline every day in the newspaper? So I think we need to take a common sense look at where the needs are and, push the money in that direction. Basically, people are concerned about the economy and about crime. Those are the two main issues right now when you talk to people on.
Great main focus item. And again, you're absolutely right. And what some people fail to consider, I'm not too sure if it's just in the government level or whatnot, is there is a relation between crime and economy. When people are pushed to desperate measures, unfortunately, a good chunk of them these days are resorting to doing things that just aren't right. And I believe if we support our businesses to have to open up a more plethora selection of options and jobs for people to earn an honest living wage and put that dignity back into getting back to work to provide for your family, I think that we can curb some of these crime statistics. And I do love how you mentioned the common sense approach of there's so many items and ideas that we can talk about, be it a high-tech park or a new arts council. But when it comes down to what affects the residents on a daily basis, it's absolutely the economy, the inflation, as well as the crime statistics. So great focus item, sir.
I was around the island with my family 2 weekends ago, and Guam likes to promote itself as a five-star destination, and we do have some great five-star resorts. We stopped at the park near the cathedral by the bandstand, and there's that great metal Guam sign, and we went over to take some photos, and the sign is rusting. and when you look up at the top of our museum, it's long overdue for a pressure wash. It's covered in mold. We stopped down at the fort outside Umatic, and this was a Sunday afternoon. And I heard the dreaded words from my son, Dad, I need to go to the bathroom. And I looked at the bathroom, and it was a really nicely painted bathroom, and the gates were locked. So it took him down the hill there behind the bathroom, and lo and behold, there's 3 or 4 tourists from Korea and Japan squatting in the grass, going to the bathroom, and to me, this is not a 5-star destination if we can't, we can't manage the aesthetics of that support our tourist business.
I'd like to echo that statement.
Get back to basics before we think about throwing $30 million at Epal Beach Park.
You're absolutely right. And I'd like to echo that statement. I took a short business trip to Saipan, and it was my first trip to Saipan this past May. And I was impressed. I mean, there's, smaller island, of course, smaller population, but the pride that the people share. And from my research, there is actually a partnership, a co-partnership between the government and the business owners, where the government is empowering the business owners and the business community to add to their upkeep of the beautification of the island. I swear I drove up and down, because you can't go around, right? It's just one street up and down.
Right, right.
I drove up and down, and I didn't see one piece of litter, and I didn't see one graffiti mark on any of the walls.
Mhm.
And it was such a sight to see. And I can only wish that would be the aesthetics, as well as just the essence of safety that you feel when there is that upkeep throughout our public and parks and private properties. So yeah, I definitely do share that as well. We're very good at our government is very good at rolling out the latest and greatest as far as new buildings and museums. Beautiful architecture, and there's purpose behind them, but the upkeep we seem to lack, and that's something that I do share as far as
You
you're
know,
concerned.
Harry Truman had a saying. He said, "The buck stops here."
Mhm.
And it befuddles me. The issue with the bathrooms is a low tech issue, but we can't seem to solve it. And somebody at the top just has to say, "It stops. Let's get them clean and keep them open, and find a way." There's enough paid people around that can accomplish it. Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. Let's get it done. It's a great campaign slogan. All right. Now, in closing, sir, it's no secret that the Action PAC is backed by the largest business organizations on Guam. I always give an honorary shout out to the Guam Chamber of Commerce, Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, the Korean Chamber of Commerce, Chinese Chamber of Commerce, um, Contractors Association, Realtors Association, as well as the Guam Ho-Chun Restaurant Association. These are our pillars as far as partners are concerned, but we have a sound understanding that businesses do directly affect the quality of life for families on island by way of job opportunities. So we love the entrepreneurial spirit. We love the opportunities that the businesses bring and offer to our citizens, but we cannot be a successful business or business organization without the loyalty and hard work of our employees and citizens. So there's a great synergy back and forth. With that said, how do you intend to help our local business community as we proceed through these economic recovery times?
I think we need to give business as much of a helping hand as we can. And again, as I mentioned a couple times during our chat this morning, the first thing we need to do is look at that BPP. There are many businesses that operate on a very narrow profit margin. And that 1% or that 1.5% can mean the difference between, hey, I'm staying open, or I'm not. And also for the encouragement of new businesses. What's the incentive to open a new business on Guam? We should be looking and being entrepreneurial in that respect. Maybe for a new business, and we might want to encourage businesses in certain areas. There might be a tax holiday of a few years. If we do come up with an unemployment insurance program, which I do think we need. I don't want to burden the business with having to pay for that, but maybe we can go to the federal government and say, hey, we're the only entity left in the United States that doesn't have a UI program. Can you help us fund it? I think it's certainly appropriate to go to ARP funds to fund it maybe for the first 3 or 4 or 5 years. We do need that, but we don't need to burden our existing businesses. And certainly we do need to give some type of incentive to folks that are entrepreneurial and want to open new businesses. Let me give you an example. I was listening to the procedure for getting a marijuana-related permit yesterday, and the permit cost $1,000. Not very friendly in my mind. Not that I'm running out there to get involved in the marijuana business, because I have my own thoughts on that. But to me, somebody starting out entrepreneurially and having to fork over $1,000 for a permit just doesn't sit very well. So I think we need to do everything. This island will sink without strong business community. We need a strong tourism business. And we need to start to think about diversifying our businesses. And the way we need to do that is by lessening the tax burden, and lessening the bureaucratic burdens that are on a lot of our businesses.
it definitely shouldn't be a burden to to walk into the entrepreneurial avenues here on island, especially since you are, as a business owner, generating tax funds for the government. So especially, I mean, in the time of touting of surplus, it's a great time for the government to start really assisting our
Right.
business side, and to really boost the economy as we go through these economic recovery times. I appreciate your foundation, and I think that the fact that you have sound experience in the financial sector, and you did mention that you have high experience with the risk assessment and trying to make things operate in a more efficient manner. And then you did mention that you would look at how to, in a sense, I mean, you didn't say right-sized government. That's kind of how we look for a more efficient government at the Action PAC. That's kind of what you touched on. Kind of, we're a little bit too top-heavy, and with all the director positions out there. So I appreciated that fact as well. And then you did touch on the crime. So you have great foundational pillars and values. And for our viewers, these are the type of conversations that we want to continuously bring to you, leading through the primary and up to the general election. I ask that you please put your bias aside, rewatch the episode with Mr. Harvey Egna, rewatch the episodes with the other candidates that we have released, and come to your conscious conclusion of what they're saying, what they're passionate about, and where their values lie. Do they deserve your vote? You have 15 votes that you can utilize for a senatorial candidate to move forward to the general election. So we do hope that you come to that great conscious conclusion, but more importantly, we hope that you just turn out to vote. And a well-informed and educated voter is a powerful voice at the polls. Mr. Harvey Egna, thank you so much for your time. Did you have a closing remark to those viewers that are the potential voters?
Yes, first of all, I do want to encourage everybody to turn out and vote on Saturday. And I'll make a suggestion to please vote the Republican card. And I am number 15 on the card, but it is important that you exercise your vote. It is very, very important that, we realize that many people sacrificed during the history of our country so that we do have the right to vote. In many countries, people do not have the right to vote. And it's very, very important that we realize that it is an important benefit as citizens and residents of this country and this territory, that we do that. This is a very, very important election. We have an opportunity to really make some changes and get a handle on how things are going to go moving forward. And I feel I have a lot of experience to bring to Gov Guam. I don't see myself as being a career politician, but I feel that I have the skills to bring and help to guide Gov Guam and place it in a position where it can assist our island down the right path. Thank you very, very much. And again, I hope you will vote for me on Saturday.
Excellent. Real quick, sir, before we sign off, can you just remind the viewers, what number are you on the ballot?
I'm number 15 on the Republican ballot.
Number 15 on the Republican side. This is our special guest candidate today, Mr. Harvey Egna. Thank you so much to our voters and viewers for tuning in to another episode of the We Want to Know, the Action PAC show. For more information on the Action PAC, please do visit actionpacguam.com, or you can follow us on the social media channels. You will find this episode released on our YouTube channel. Search Action PAC Guam, along with all of the other candidate interviews. So thank you again for being that interested voter and hearing the voices of our candidites. My name is Phil Duddy, your Executive Director, and I wish you guys all a beautiful day. Thank you.